Hello. Ooh,
I'm the one who's on mute.
there you go.
Gotcha. Old 30-year-old problems and everything that we kind of do over here. Uh,
I was like, he's talking, but I hear nothing. I was like, that's not me, is it?
nah, that was me. I was too careful. All right. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Gaming Over 30 podcast, where we talk about how we still love gaming after all these years of being part of the genre, as well as a lot of other things like anime and manga. Today, we are going to be talking about a few things. But first, my name is DuShaun Williams. This is my co host, Chris. And Chris, I have a question for you. And
What's
that
up?
question is, do you even have time for gaming anymore?
Um, I try and make it a part of my life because as it is right now, I have an insanely busy life with a full-time job, school full-time, kid, and then he has his extracurricular activities and stuff as well, partner, and then I play in a band, and then and I also roller skate and officiate for a bank track roller derby. So I and plus doing this podcast now too is another thing to add on there. But I always try and make sure to add time for gaming because gaming is like my escape route to enjoy me time, have fun, all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I understand that. But mainly because I understand the fact that, we have pretty much busy lives at this point of our time, right? I'm 34. I believe you're 34 as well, right? Or 33?
33.
Okay, so 33. So we're pretty much at the live that a lot of people are at where we just have full-time jobs. We're not really in school unless we're trying to, get some extracurricular stuff or master's degree and all that other jazz. And we just have pretty much a lot of other stuff a part of our lives. And it's really hard to kind of find time for games today. And I think a lot of people can pretty much kind of feel that same kind of antsiness. So just like I want to play, but I can't. And so I wanted to kind of today talk about for this episode of just the things that we kind of do for gaming and everything. And just kind of how you kind of said for you, full time and you got kids, you're kind of trying to go to school and everything. Same thing here though, except, minus the kid part. But I still kind of work every day. My hours are kind of weird. Before I was working all different types of hours just because I was always helping the customer, and now I have the freedom to kind of do a lot more stuff. But I'm at the point where it's like I do stuff for work that is like, oh, I don't mind staying after work to do it to kind of get it done. But it also kind of leads into some other issues that it's kind of hard to kind of get away with. So I kind of wanted, kind of start off with some questions, maybe kind of see how we can still kind of figure out how can we still play games this time around and how we still try to play, and maybe other people can, maybe feel kind of how we're feeling, because I do a few things that are probably not good for my health to do, but it's still stuff that I can still do and have fun, and it allows me to enjoy everything the best that I can. So one of the questions I kind of wanted to bring up was, what have been some of the creative things that you have done in order to play games today?
I think one of the most creative things I've done, which isn't really creative, but is I'm trying to use the Switch more and get an idea of like more of mobile gaming, whether it's like through cloud service, through xCloud. Like I'm even looking into doing the NVIDIA cloud streaming stuff because you can get your Steam like items on there and stuff like that, games.
Like the GeForce or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's GeForce Now, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking into even like subscribing to that so I can start using that more because that's definitely something that I haven't used to my advantage, and I need to, especially with my time like being away and stuff like that. And I always have time to game. It's just a matter of where I am half the time.
So it mainly is just, sometimes you might just be out, but you maybe not doing anything at the time, and it's a little you try to find time to kind of pass the time with what we're kind of saying. That's kind of what like Game Boy and stuff was like that before now.
Yeah,
But when you're at your at home library and stuff and you want to try to play those titles, it's a little bit harder. It's like you can't bring the PS 5 and hook it onto your belt or whatever and just pull out a screen and controller and stuff like that. So you thinking
I've
like a
seen.
lot.
Have you
Did
seen
you?
that screen for
Uh-huh.
the Have you seen the screen for that Xbox Series S that like attaches to it?
Yeah, I've seen like a lot of different concepts and some stuff that's actually been out. Some interesting stuff, but then it's still a briefcase or it's
Yeah.
still like XX that you have to carry. You look like you're more going to work still than anything. So do you feel that was it like actually getting like handheld portable stuff or just being able to cloud game basically will kind of help you a little bit more to try to play more games, or that's just a solution for now?
I think there's definitely a solution going forward and stuff like that because there's gonna be times where like my partner and I eventually move together, so that's a matter of like how am I gonna do my game time and stuff like that while we're together. And there's two options for that, which is using like a Switch or like maybe investing in the Steam Deck in the future and stuff like that. That way, when like there's something on TV that necessarily I'm not too much into, but she may be into, I could just pop it up and stuff with like a headphone in and play it. You know what I mean? And still enjoy the time. The other option, which is I think is the best option, is I want to get like a dual setup TV in the living room, have like two, maybe like 55 inches next to each other and stuff like that. And that way, it could be used for that exact same thing, or at the same time, if there's something she wanted to play, like we could just play right there, kind of like a couch co-op set, but it's still online.
You
Since
want that
couch co-op is kind of
Instagram
dead.
gamer look. That's what you want. You want that Instagram. I want to be able to post this every day, every 5 times a day. Like, look at my sick setup. 2 screens, different colors, his and hers, all that kind of jazz. You're
Why
like,
not?
I want to do something that is probably not practical, but is awesome. It's like, and that's all that matters.
I mean, yeah, because I'm looking for like when I have my own place, it's not really to be hosting everyone coming over to my place, some of that. It's like this is my
Yeah.
place. I have two TVs. Yeah, I like the two TVs, but that's still a in the future thing and see what that actually happens. But I think handheld devices, whether it's through streaming or actual devices, is going to be a better option and stuff like that. Especially in just once you get older and life gets so busy, especially you'll realize this like eventually if you have kids and stuff like that, you like now he's middle school and stuff like that, and he's in percussion and stuff like that, and he's doing snare, he's doing jazz band too, and at the same time he's also part of the drum line as well. And so he's gonna have a lot more times where he's out there having to do activities and stuff like that. And like I think in the middle of December he has an upcoming game for the high school team that they're gonna play with under drumline. So I'm like, cool, that'd be cool. I'm gonna go to support him and stuff like that, but he's only be playing the halftime show. So I'm gonna show up there and I'm gonna be bored because I really don't care about high school football. I love football, but I don't care about high school football. So it's like
Mhm.
I could take my Switch with me, keep myself busy, then watch and enjoy the time that I get when he's actually performing, and then just leave afterwards. You know what I mean? Or if I have to pick him up at the end of it, I can wait and just do the same thing, just play my Switch, mind my business and stuff like that, and then just go about my way.
As someone who had to have done band for both high school and college, as a parent, good luck with that, I guess is the best way to say it. Like, I understand where the Switch is probably going to come in handy a lot. But those games normally last longer than what the Switch can do. So, and quite on is, and it's just one of those things that my parents had to do a lot too, was like, if they want to come to the game and stuff, it sucks as like, we're basically the halftime show, but that's like maybe 10 minutes, depending on how we got everything together.
Mm-hmm.
And then to kind of watch the rest of the game is like, yeah, I'm not really all into this. And then, but unfortunately your kid has to be there the entire time, and he's going to be there probably even after the game too. So yeah, I can see
Right.
where that goes. Hopefully the Steam battery, kind of gets better after a while, and you could just be able to just hot swap one to the other and just, dual wield it. What I can say, I know a lot of people have taken their Switch games, copied them, and upload them to their Steam Deck because they wanted like a full copy that they can play at any
That's
time.
cool.
So I mean, yeah, it's like say what you want about it, but it's like, yeah, some people just kind of want to forever save their stuff, and if you can have everything all on one platform, it's really kind of hard to kind of say no to that, especially when, I mean, they kind of designed it in a way that it's exploitable for that thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I mean, I see it as a way of like, it's still cool because technically, as long as you buy the game, then it's kind of somewhat cancels it out. But I think that part will probably come in handy. So I don't know, like good luck on you. The consoles will probably work. I'm hoping cloud gaming kind of gets to that point to where you could really just do it for your phone and all that. You might want to test that out, see how good that works. Just be in the middle of the thing with everybody else's phone and see if you can get the phone signal strength
Oh,
enough to play games.
yeah, I'm definitely going to. And like I've messed with cloud streaming here and there in between, and it's been getting better. Like especially like on the Xbox's case stuff like that. Like I'll try it out every now and then here and there. Even when I'm at work, I'll use like the works Wi-Fi because I'm on lunch and I was like, oh, I don't really want to watch a podcast or anything. I'll just jump into a random single player game that's a little bit easier. You know what I mean? So it's
I mean,
like,
it
oh,
takes a
let's
little
do
bit
that.
more it takes a little bit more of your attention, because I think if you try to do the podcast and then do something else, it's a little bit harder. Like it's, when you're in like a high active environment, it's a little bit harder because then you won't hear the podcast, and then that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It's like it right now, like what we're on probably an hour prior to like games to start in El Paso. I think like what football games start at 7 o'clock or
Yeah.
whatever.
Like
So
6, 7, yeah.
think about trying to listen to us and then having like, somebody's parent next to you kind of yelling at the top of their lungs, like, go that kid.
I'm glad my headphone has noise cancellation.
They can only go so far, man. As much as one who's owned a few of them, you can't noise cancel everything. Someone's gonna try you,
Especially for a kid.
yeah. And someone's gonna try just because you have headphones on in the middle of a game. They're gonna look at you like, no, take them off. Look, what are you doing? Like, are you trying to listen to background music while the game's going? Especially that, background music. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, we could have it on this.
Hell, let's do some lo-fi, right? Yeah, lo-fi help have the conversation go a little bit further. All right. But yeah, that's kind of interesting. I know for me, for trying to do creative things, it's a little bit harder because in one case, this is kind of why mobile gaming on my phone has kind of taken over a lot. Because as someone who likes to play a particular type of game, it's a little bit harder to do when you physically have to be at home.
Yeah.
But I think this is kind of where the gacha games kind of come from and everything. It's just like, oh yeah, I can play this everywhere. I'm made to play everywhere. Made to take up your life even at work. I am your second job. You just don't get paid for it, kind of thing. And it's one of those things where it's all like, okay, but I mean, at least I enjoy it. Like, I'm not trying to spend out a whole bunch of money, and I enjoy having the thing around there. But that's I think that takes up a lot more of my time than anything. I use my Switch when I have a game that I'm trying to actively play, and I might have that around me and stuff, because in some cases, at least for men's pockets, you could somewhat put a Switch in your pocket and still be good to go without breaking it too much. I haven't got the drift issue too much on my Switch, so that kind of works out a lot. But I think what's been helping me is I've been staying home because of all the remote work and everything, so I don't necessarily have to go anywhere. So it kind of helps, I can do stuff on break, or if I need to like kind of get my mind off something, then I can pull it up for like 5 minutes or whatever, 5 seconds, and be able to come to interact and play games like that. But I'll be honest, I don't really have a lot of creative ways to do it, mainly because it's just like I'm now in a point in my life and in a point in my position where I don't have to suit up all the time. When I was a consultant, my Switch, I did take my Switch on trips, but it stayed in the hotel, or I didn't see it until the end of the day, because it was really a thing to kind of knock off any stress that I built out, or I'm in the hotel room by myself and I'm just going to chill out and play a game and everything, not anything super crazy or whatever. And so I would just say kind of one of the things that, I really kind of liked and enjoyed was that gaming has got to a point to where I can't kind of take it everywhere. And it's like a way like the industry kind of solved the problem for me and kind of gave me a way so that I could be like, hey, yeah, I can play particular games for particular consoles on the go. And now 2022, we can play a lot of our console games on the go or on the computer and stuff. You can bring out laptops, and they can run games without having to be like big Bertha laptops that are like huge like this and all that, and heating up the entire room. And has been a really good experience. So I'm kind of glad that the industry is at least kind of tried to take advantage of something like that, even though it's probably taking advantage of for like younger people or people are a little bit more spontaneous and all that. But I'm glad that there is an outlet for me that I can take advantage of.
As we've gotten older, like I think one of my best ways to like when you finally moved out on your own over there to Dallas and everything, like what did you realize moving in with your partner and everything that you had to change and find out what worked for you when it came to making time to play games?
So one of the biggest things that I want to say it's hard. I think one of the things that I give my significant other really the biggest credit is that she was fine with me playing games. Like it wasn't the good thing about like kind of video games and being at home is I'm at home. Like I'm staying there. I'm not really kind of going anywhere. And with online,
to the bars.
pretty much. I mean, even when we went to Cidercade where we could play games at the Cidercade and drink, I did it with her. I did it with Warren. I did it with friends. So it's not like I'm like it is something to take me away from. So a lot of stuff like I just it's kind of accepted. Like I had like a 2-bedroom apartment. The second bedroom was the guest bedroom / gaming room. So we tried to set up a game stuff in there. But I think I ran into some of the issues that you kind of ran into. I know before we talked about it. Oh, actually, no, it wasn't you. It was another friend of mine where they had recently got a house and he has a way to kind of go to a man cave and stuff. But his significant other doesn't want him to, be in a different room and play games to be separate. So he had to be like, he ended up moving the entire computer, to the actual living room. So that way they could just be in the same space. But it's because a lot of that kind of matters a lot. Yeah. And that's something that, me and Laura kind of go through is that there are some games that I have to play upstairs or whatever. But like recently I had actually moved my PS4 downstairs because there's like what multiverses right now. Like I just at least want to play so I can get the daily challenges out the way. And if I put it down, I put it down. But like sometimes that doesn't really take me a long time. But I hate the fact that I gotta be upstairs in order to do it, right? So those are the things, like stuff like that. Like since I have a lot of these extra consoles, I'm kind of now migrating them to different rooms, just so that way we can kind of use them and stuff. But that was one of the biggest things that I was used to having my own space, technically at home, because it's not like my parents are jumping on the game console, and so everything was there. And now it's like I'm sharing. I have all this, I own all this, but I'm still sharing it. But I'm sharing it as an equal partner with somebody. So a lot of the things that we do is kind of like a thought. Like even this room here is something that we both agreed that I'm gonna do my work or. I'm going to do this podcast or whatever might be the case. It was kind of a mutual agreement. So I can still do it, but I can't always be up here, if that makes sense. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I end up doing most of this at night because when Laura's asleep, then it's kind of like, in my mind, I'm like, I can go up here, do some work, try to finish some extra stuff, whatever. But during the day, like I try to be downstairs as much as possible. We try to just watch TV and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what are the biggest things is I used to be able to do everything in arm's reach. Anime on the laptop, then switch to Final Fantasy on the PlayStation, then Yu-Gi-Oh cards on the floor. Like I'll be watching something and then making the deck, and like the room was basically the workshop for fun. And like now, like I have it in separate rooms, which is awesome, but I can't be in all of them at one time, essentially.
Yeah, I get that because I have like the opposite effect now. Because when I used to own my own place, I had stuff separated in separate rooms. Like I had my main gaming console was in the living room because that was also like my area to like stream just for like watching things and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And then in my other room, I had my computer, which is like my gaming setup for computer and stuff like that. Because I built my PC. I want to make sure I actually start gaming on a PC and learn to it because there's so much opportunities in there for smaller games that you can find. And it was a matter of like, okay, I would go to the room where my cats were to the PC to play. That was my main, like, that was pretty much like my Destiny machine at that point. Mm-hmm. So I started on the Xbox and then would switch over to PC before crossplay was a thing. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And then I'll go there to do this. And then, especially when I was like living on my own, it's like, cool. Like I could just hang out in the living room, do my thing. The cool thing too is that my son loves to play games. So it was like, he'd be in the room, come home from school, he already finished his homework, and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm playing Warzone with my friends." Like, cool, I'll jump on with you guys, and I'd go jump on and just talk trash with them, be dumb, stuff like that. And then it's like, all right, and then I had personally made like my bedroom, like almost no electronic space area. Like I didn't have a TV in there, I didn't have a gaming console in there. It was like I wanted to make sure and train my body to be like, when I go to the bed, when I go into my room, it's like that's bedtime. That's time to relax, turn your brain off, get away from all that stuff. My phone's just in there to charge and be an alarm for me and stuff like that. And then because of how the housing market went and stuff like that, owning the house by yourself is really hard. And so I had to sell it, and then which kind of worked out too, because I moved back into my parents and I'm back in school and I'm helping them out and stuff like that as we go through this thing. And it's like now I'm back into like just a single room, and like I have my PC right here in front of me that you can't see, and then right above it I have my TV right there, and it's like I have it all connected. My PC is connected to my TV, my Switch is connected to my TV, my Xbox, my PlayStation is connected to my TV, and then I also like have my PC as well, just separate. But I had to reconfigure my mind when I started school, since it was all online. I was lucky enough that the school sent me a MacBook Pro, and I was like, oh, I'm not too big on using Apple and stuff like that, so I wasn't using it that much at first. And then I ran into the issue where when I had to do my schoolwork, I would be on my PC, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do my schoolwork. You know what? But on this screen, I could just go ahead and click this video over here and start watching this instead, or I could just click this game right here and start playing. And then I would like lose interest in my schoolwork and stuff. And so I made it like I made it a thing where I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna switch all my schoolwork onto the Mac. That way, one, it makes me learn how to use Mac OS a lot better and stuff like that. And two, it's like that's my work / like school stuff, and then my PC is just my fun playtime personal stuff. So that way I have a better mindset and I don't get distracted right away and just go, ooh, what's this little flashy thing over here? I'm gonna click on this.
You have a lot more discipline than I do. I will say that in the case, because even as we're streaming and podcasting now, like I can't really show my second monitor with all the stuff that's on it right now, just because it's just, I guess that's just kind of how, kind of like life kind of evolves in those cases. Is you don't know where you're going to end up. You don't know how stuff is going to change, but you also kind of realize like, I'm very fortunate to be able to have my own place and be able to kind of be able to be a part of a lot of these extracurricular things, like, be able to watch, movies and play games and stuff. And some cases I feel like I probably do take a little bit far. Like I feel like I do probably own a lot more stuff than I probably really need. I don't technically say I live under my means or anything, but these are the things that kind of made me happy over the years. And it's kind of like, as I've kind of grown into my own space, I kind of wanted the stuff to kind of grow with me and kind of really kind of identify me as myself. Like you kind of go into a room and you kind of like, oh yeah, this is DuShaun's room, or this is his extra room, kind of like that.
Right.
And I guess, it's interesting because sometimes when we kind of go out of town, so there are times that we feel uncomfortable, because especially if we go back to El Paso, it's like, oh, we're always welcomed and everything, but now we know that it's not ours. So that's kind of so like that feels even when we gotta go out of town for like a hotel, and we know, hey, ain't no one gonna just crawl up in the bed with us or anything. We're pretty much okay. It still kind of feels a little awkward, and when we get home, you just feel that, it's like, God, that just like everything kind of just completed at that point. And that's kind of how I like how we have everything set up at the house. Is it's like we are, even our bodies kind of just want to be back and stuff. So I try to put in much time here and all that, but I don't know, a little bit longer tangent, but I just kind of, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like you have been back and forth, and most of the time that I've known you, you've been on your own with your significant other and stuff. Like you hardly were ever with your parents' house. So with this new change, it's nice to see you kind of do kind of everything basically. Because the time that I known you, you had 2 homes. It's like, you propagated pretty fast. And so it's cool to kind of hear your opinion about after having all that, coming back and then being able to kind of enjoy your space. And I guess the question that kind of leads into that is that, have you truly kind of been able to enjoy some of the smaller things around you a little bit more now that you've been at home, or has not owning your own place kind of really stopped you from being able to do stuff?
I think it's kind of stopped me from doing stuff because since I haven't been here in over 10 years and stuff like that, like coming into a space where it's like, oh, I just have pretty much just this room and that's it. That's my personal space. I was used to like walking around the house in my underwear, maybe naked. You never know. You know what I mean? No one's there. I can do what I want. You know what I mean? Everyone that has their own place, understand, hey, this is my place. Like I can prodigally do what I want to do, enjoy my time and space, and I don't have to worry about if I stay up till 3-4 in the morning playing games. Yeah, I'm gonna have my headphones on, but there's gonna be that one time I'm like, oh my god, and you yell at the top of your lungs. You know what I mean? And there's been a couple of times where like I'm playing a game and I have my headphones on, and it's midday. You know what I mean? My parents are awake, and I have my door just like cracked open a little bit, and I yell because something happens, and I'm like, oh no, and then my mom just comes like through the room. She's like, oh my god, what happened? Are you okay? It's like, no, yeah, I'm just playing a game. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? So it's been like a big shell shock to me and stuff like that. And so I get to the point where like, this is where I was at this point, I'm trying to get out of it, where when it came to games were always my way to escape, do my thing, forget the rest of the world, and just kind of bring myself down, get relaxed. And then by the time I was ready for bed, even if I stayed up like playing games, I would knock out and just have a really good sleep. And now it's like, okay, I can't stay up too late, I can't be too loud, but I'm trying. I was always at the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this game. I only have 30 minutes. I only have an hour. That's not enough time to do anything. And like I was constantly battling myself, like, no, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. I shouldn't do this. Even like small indie games and stuff like that. Like I spoke about a lot of times, like Loop Hero. I'd be like, oh, I could play Loop Hero. That's like a super easy game to play. And it's like, oh, but you know what? That's only gonna be like an hour and a half of time that I'm gonna play. That's not enough time. When in reality, like an hour and a half is a long time to play a game. And so I'm actually at this point where I'm like fixing my mindset to go, hey, like I can do that. I can play this game. And so that's where I've been putting most of my hours into Cult of the Lamb and playing that game now. And it's like, I could jump on for 30 minutes to an hour, and I could go do a dungeon, go take care of my leader, my cults and stuff like that, and find out who's trying to say I'm not a prophet when I am the prophet. You got to put them in jail, put them under wraps, and it's kind of fun too, because for a while I was naming them after my friends and stuff like that. And so the cool thing was like your character, one of the best people I had and stuff like that, was loyal, did everything he needed to. But the basis for my band, that dude, he was trying to get everyone against me. He didn't like anything I did. He was a jerk to the other followers. So like you had to like sacrifice him, let him go. It's like, all right, get out of here. But you know what I mean? So it's nice I'm starting to get to that point where it's like, hey, I can actually enjoy games again and feel like that. Yeah, do the changes from being by myself to back here and stuff like that. It was really rough. It's really, really rough to do it and stuff like that. And for you, I wonder how I'm going to turn it this way. Since you started living with your partner and now you actually have your house, how do you incorporate or split the time when it comes to playing games with your partner? Because now that you're not by yourself, you're actually with her all the time. And so now that you guys have your house where it's like, this is your place, you feel at home. Like how is it working out for you in that sense?
The big question of anything. So, I mean, the reality of it is that obviously I'm still playing games and everything, and there are times where I want Laura to be more a part of it. There are a lot of times where I might just slip her like the controller, see if she likes it and stuff. But since we've been together, the biggest thing that I've been able to kind of find out is actually understand her taste and stuff. So just like kind of like in anime, when we watch particular anime, like I kind of find out like I know which ones she'll drive with, and I know which ones are so good she can't hate it. Gaming is kind of like that too, but except gaming has a very particular barrier that, and I think we might have talked about a little bit, but when it comes to like her wanting to play games, of course she's not really used to current modern games. Super Smash Brothers, I think, was easier at the time when she was trying to play with us at one time, because it was still left, right, up and down, kind of. There was no direction on that you had to kind of figure out. Um, have her play Spider-Man, and yeah, that kind of goes out the door. Like, because there's just a lot of stuff that for me, I'm not looking at the controller. I can swing, I can do jumps and all that, and she might not get off the floor at all. Like, she won't understand the concept of that. And so I tried different games to see if we can kind of make this kind of work a little bit better. And, I think for gaming is a little bit more misses, because they have to also be interesting. And the thing was, my type of game, I can battle through the uninteresting parts. I can get Tales of Arise and fight the same monster for like 10 minutes.
Right.
Just beat, grind, get the levels, and go fight the boss. But Laura needs to be more like a movie. Like, stuff needs to be kind of moving, happening, and stuff like that. And I understand that most people play other games that kind of like fast paced and you're always doing something. So as living with someone like that, you're learning kind of the stuff that, like, oh, we could do this kind of thing, we can't really do this kind of thing. But I'm always excited to be able to try and put something in front of her and see if she would like it. One of the biggest things I felt like was the biggest success that we did was It Takes Two. That game itself, like, I wanted to play it. It's a game you really have to, it's made to play with two people. And right. You kind of do yourself a disservice if you try to max it with two hands and stuff like that. You don't really want to do that. But it gave us a time to do something fun together, kind of be dependent on each other while we're playing the game. There's some stakes to it, but also kind of enjoy what was actually happening. And so when games like that drop and stuff, that's a really great experience. Now, she's not ready to be part 2 in Gears of War, but it's the fact that there are times where we can do something together and it does become a great benefit and we do have fun. So I try to hunt down those aspects as I can, but a lot of times, even for me, since I'm not buying as many games as I do, and a lot of the games that I do play right now are highly competitive. Like, really, like, if you didn't play games and then you wanted to play a fighting game, the last thing you want to do is go against somebody who knows at least more than the basics. And
yeah,
and if you're not a person who's trying to get past step 1, then it's obviously not going to be fun for you. So unfortunately, like, there are those kind of things. And I think the craziest thing I've done was I basically had like 2 Switches at one point, because I wanted her to try to play a game with me at the same time and all that. But that didn't work out pretty much too much either for like some of the stuff, because it was like, well, we can play Mario Kart together, we can do all this other stuff, or do stuff like split screen. But again, I think it takes more effort to kind of get something like that happening than it's kind of really worth. And we find other ways to enjoy other games. So that's why we have a lot of board games or the card games or other stuff. So we just try to not limit ourselves with video games to have fun, just with each other or with friends. Because if we do, then we probably there's no real cohesion or connection if we do it that way, because there's not a lot of games that allow local co-op anyway.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the big things. Like, if I wanted to play a game with her, I want her to play a game that might be interesting and all that, there has to be certain requirements, a checklist that I know that she'll like, and I'm willing like to test out of stuff. But I haven't found a thing that she dives into completely by herself. I think we got to the point now, in like anime, for instance, like, she could watch shows by herself. She'll go hunt down new shows by herself. She's okay to watch sub versus dub now. Those were big changes before, where it had to be in English. It's like, we couldn't have too much, okay, I gotta be everywhere on the screen. Now she understands why I watch it in sub. It's because I'm trying to watch what's happening now, not Dragon Ball Z Frieza battle. Like, I'm trying to watch all the stuff that's coming out now. So she understands that, and it's just something that I've worked with, that I've worked over the years, because it's been like 5-6 years now that we've been in Dallas. So it has been an ongoing process, and it's been fun in some cases and sad in others. But it's been something that, because we've been together, we had the chance to work out with, versus when we were dating for that long period of time before, like, we got engaged. there wasn't really a lot of times that we could try to game together, try to find that connection, and we really wanted to treasure the times being together. So even if we were at the house, we might be watching a movie, or we ended up watching Dexter, stuff like that, like shows and all that. So those were what those times were really kind of, compromised of, or composed of, whatever you want to say it. But those were, I think, when we actually have more time to be together, and then we have more time to explore. It's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I feel you.
So that's one of the big things that I noticed. But there was one thing I did wanted to ask you. Outside of like, is it just hard playing games right now? What if you found that you've been able to play games less or more? Is it because of the type of games you used to play, or is it mainly because like some of the games you play now are just a little bit more, easier to play? For me, like an example would be like RPGs, like RPG lover every day. Harder to play RPGs when they require a lot of time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give some context to the question.
I think for me, it's just trying to find the time to play games, because I still like playing a lot of the same games. The biggest thing is like, I think I have less of a tolerance of waiting for the beginning of the game to catch me, because there's always those games. It's like, you hear people say it's like, oh, give it about like 4 or 5 hours, or like get into like 6 hours into the game, and then it gets really good.
Or
and
the first
like,
3 episodes.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I don't really have that time anymore. So if you're not getting me in the first couple hours into something where I go, oh, I like this, then I'm gonna drop you pretty quick. And then like for a while, I had to fight. I still kind of do, but I'm trying to get better about it, of trying to fight the idea of like, oh, like you need to play this game, you need to beat it, you need to go all the way through it, like you got to finish it and this and that. That way you can talk about it and this and that. And it's like, no, you know what? You can play a game for like 5, 6 to 10, 15 hours. And if you're done with it because you don't want to play anymore, you can just stop playing that game. And it's like, oh yeah, that game, yeah, I played it and I enjoyed about this amount of time, but then I just fell off and I just didn't go back to it. And then there's other times where like I go back to it and I just beat the entire thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was Undertale for me. Undertale, the first time I played it, I think it was in 2017. Played it, I didn't finish it, did something, dropped it off, and then I know it's way later, but come this year, I was like, oh, I really want to play it. It feels right. And for some reason, it clicked this time, and I beat it in both, 2 different endings. So I literally played the game twice,
mm-hmm.
and in a week to get both, to get the regular ending and get the pacifist ending. And so, like that's where the idea comes to be like, hey, I can stop playing the game. It's gonna be okay. And it especially was like a hard thing to do with because my main game, like just my like what is it called? My comfort food game would be Destiny 2. And then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like I gotta play it, I gotta keep up with the season, I gotta keep doing this, I gotta keep up with the new expansion that's coming out. And this year, when the biggest expansion came out, I started playing it, and I just got busy with life, and I fell off of it. And I was like, all right, like I'm actually okay not playing the game. Like I'm not having that FOMO feel anymore. I'm not having that, oh, I need to play. It's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I'll get back to it when I get back to it. And like they just announced their new expansion for next year, and that's got me like licking my chops, because it's all cyberpunk neon look style, and that is my jam. And so it's like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna find time heading into the fall to next year to play, catch up, and then be ready for that when that comes out. When it comes out, I'll definitely request time off from work and everything and take a couple days and just play it. You know what I mean? But it's like, it feels good to have that idea, like, hey, like you can stop playing a game and it's not gonna be the end of the world.
Okay. Well, I mean, that I think that I kind of understand that a little bit. I guess for me, it's kind of this like similar, but except it is. I know some of my gaming time has dropped because of some of the games I used to play. Like I said, like if it's a fighting game, most of the fighting games that I play don't really last, more than like like the month that I get it out of it, unless it's something that's continuously fun, or I might be doing some stuff with other people. Like before, when I was in university, I'd be playing those games all the time because I could go to the university and there's people playing it.
Yeah.
right? So there's some longevity in there when you can actually play local people, try to get better, blah blah blah. Now that I'm here in Dallas and all of that, don't really have that kind of cohesion. And pretty much most of my friends at this point have kind of gone into gaming kind of in their own right. Of like, Mike really likes older type of games, and Warren likes particular games on the PC. So we never really play together, and for the life of me, I know Patrick's still trying to get me to play Call of Duty and other kind of games like that, and I'm still like, no, I don't really play first person shooters. Like, it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
So like for console game, it's a little bit hard. There are some things where like I'm really trying my best to kind of go back to. Like I try to go back to Spider-Man. I did go back, beat the DLC, because I was like, I wasn't gonna play Miles Morales without playing the DLC, and I was able to do that. And I was like, oh, this is why I like playing Spider-Man. This is cool. And then I played the first part of Miles Morales. I was like, hey, this is why I still like playing Spider-Man. And that was back in July, and that hasn't really come back up. And now, like, I'm trying to give Pokemon Sword a second swing. And I was just kind of looking at my file, and we've been talking about it a few times. I'm like, oh, let me look at my file and all that. And like, I didn't even get the first badge, but I was like level like 20 something. So it's all like, oh, I mean, at least I got around. But yeah, I didn't put a lot of time into this game. And I'm trying now, but half the reason is because I'm watching a particular anime with it. And so like, the good thing about this anime is dubbed, so I can watch it, but I'm also playing at the same time. And that's kind of one of the things that I've noticed about me is maybe it's ADHD or whatever might be the case, but there are a lot of times where I like have the Switch in one hand, the phone in the other hand, TV going, playing something, and I'm trying to do it all at one time. And it's like, some of it's good because it's like, yep, phone plays itself. Don't really need to pay attention to that. TV plays itself. I just need to hear it. And at this point, even though I don't speak Japanese, I at least kind of understand certain parts of it when it kind of comes out, and I can be like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. But my eyes are always been kind of quick of like I can kind of see everything at this point. So it's like normally like the Switch where I'm like, okay, I might have to pay a little bit more attention to, because I'm not trying to like run around in like the grass and hit all these random stuff. I'm trying to, now that they pop out, I'm like, okay, now I actually got to go look and go find this little guy, and hopefully it's the one that I'm trying to find, blah blah blah. So I noticed that, but I know there's the big problem with me doing that is now that my attention has been kind of fighting a lot, it's hard to pay attention to anything else outside of that spectrum, because I'm already trying to fight my attention span in just those three. So even when I'm on the couch, I don't feel like I'm there, kind of thing sometimes. And or if I'm in the bed, sometimes I don't feel like I'm in the bed doing that stuff. Like for you said like, oh yeah, my bedroom, you can lay down, kind of chill out, charge the phone. No, bedroom is just room number 2. It's just like, I don't have consoles in there, but the problem with the Switch is I can bring a console in there.
Yeah.
And sometimes I like to be in the room just to be in the room. But there's other times where I need to be doing multiple things sometimes, where like here, like I could be looking at something here on YouTube or whatever and playing the video and stuff, while I could be trying to edit or kind of create something on the other side. And kind of why I have the setup the way that I have it is because I can actually try and do stuff.
Right.
But unfortunately I try to do too many things at one time, and so I think in some cases it stalls, but because in my mind I feel like I have to keep doing stuff. Like I feel like I'm always running against the clock even when I'm not, kind of thing. Because it's like if I don't progress, then I don't feel like anything got done. Even in a video game, it's like feel like I'm not progressing, then I don't feel like nothing's kind of getting done. I have to progress in some kind of aspect, some kind of go, okay, I'll put this down once I do my dailies, then I don't really need to turn it on anymore unless there's an event. That's good. No, task 1 done. Okay, get gym badge. Task 2. Okay, all the anime that came out today. Task 3. It's like I start having to do that. Then I'm like, okay, now I got all my entertainment tasks out the way. We'll see what else I can do. And that's kind of, unfortunately, that's where I'm at in a lot of stuff. And there's sometimes I kind of wish I could stop, but a lot of times I can't. Like, this is just me. I have to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, but I do it all at one time because I know there's certain times of the day I can't do it. It's off limits.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially I think, and like I said, one of the bad habits that I have now is I do all this really late. Like I can't really do stuff between the hours of morning and evening. It's like a lot of this stuff I can't really do. I have to do it sometimes up to 2 o'clock at night when I'm trying to get something done, because it's like if I don't do it now, then I just wasted the whole day away and I didn't do anything. And that's weird to say because I was productive. I was working. Of course, I was doing stuff, but I felt like I didn't do anything if, I didn't have any time for me if I don't do this stuff at night, kind of thing. And then I kind of adopted that, pretty early, and it's still with me today. Like I still do stuff late at night and stuff. Like just because I have my own place, that doesn't mean my habits change too drastically. It just means that I can try and adjust them a little bit. So that's kind of like some of the stuff that's happening right now. It's like I kind of adjusted some of my habits a little bit. But if I feel like if I want to, let's say if I want to advance with game design or whatever, I can't do that in those times too. But it's harder to do at night, but that's the time I have to do it. Or else I won't do it. Or, another day will pass, I won't do it. Or I took a break and then I didn't do it the next day and the next day and the next day. And I sometimes do fear that, because there are times where like you have an idea and all you have to do is try to execute it, try to finish it, tell yourself you need to, discipline. And
I think one thing that may help you out, it may help you out, it may not help you out.
Yeah.
Is I recently found out, because like you always hear like the stigma, or I've always heard it from like other people, whether it's at work or even my partner. She's like, well, what time do you go to bed? It's like, oh, I usually go to bed 12:30, 1, and then I'm up by 5 in the morning and stuff for work and everything. And they're like, oh, well, you're not getting enough sleep. And it's like, well, I was like, I feel fine. Like I feel fine. You know what I mean? And so like I actually found out from like a specialist that like people around our age, our average time for sleep is like 4 to 6 hours. Is like all we need to get the sleep that we need. And I was like, really? They're like, yeah. Like it's like, so you're getting enough sleep that you need. Like you're not crashing, you're not falling asleep at work, you're not. I was like, no, I'm not doing any of that. I was like, you know what I mean? I know. And then like the way I've realized my motor runs is I'm a high energy person in the mornings. Like I can wake up early, let's do this, stuff like that. And then come past midday, like let's say afternoon, between like 3 to 6 p.m., it's like I get really sluggish and slow. And then after 6 heading to 7, 8, I can like pick it back up and like, all right, let's go. What are we doing? Am I gonna play a game? Am I gonna watch a movie? Am I gonna do my schoolwork? You know what I mean? Like I'm back at it and I'm like wide awake at that point. And so like it was cool talking to the specialist, but they're like, hey, like you're okay, you're actually doing good and everything. I was like, thanks, that makes me feel so much better, because I always had that stigma of like, oh, I'm not getting enough sleep, or oh, I'm not doing this. And I used to have that you have, where it's like, oh, I didn't do anything productive today, or I didn't get anything done, this and that. And it's like just the fact that I know that I'm getting enough sleep now, it's like, okay, cool. I can stay up and play this game. I can stay up and do this editing piece, and I can stay up and just watch this freaking YouTube video that I want to watch, or this random documentary. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. Hopefully that's a good thing for you. Hopefully it doesn't go bad for you.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like I said, it's a big change. Like I said, you can't really change your habits, but you can try to adjust them. And I know for me, unfortunately, I was never a morning person. Even when I had to wake up really early, like you kind of absolutely hate it. My friend called me today, 11 o'clock my time, and he thought I woke up from sleeping, because it was just kind of like this is quiet time. This isn't I can talk time kind of thing. It's just like, this is kind of like I'm trying my best to kind of get to that 1 o'clock time, and then it's like Super Mario, I'm like up. It's like it's just one of those things. It is one of those things I want to try, but I know there's some lifestyle changes I have to do as well. Like I haven't gone to like a doctor or anything to kind of see about it, but a lot of the reason is because it's like you kind of know why. It's all like, yeah, like I know why I'm this big. Like I don't need the doctor to tell me. And quite honestly, he'll look at me and be like, did you really come in for me to tell you this big? Right? It's like, it's it's one of those things where I kind of know, and I feel like I really didn't try myself to be asking for advice. So once I try it and I run into that brick wall, then I feel like I can. Right. No, right now it's just kind of like, I really tried to get good sleep? Have I tried to, like, for a week, I'm gonna go to bed 10 o'clock, see how I feel after, getting off this drug of staying up at 2, 3 in the morning. Like, have I tried that? So once I do that, and maybe if it doesn't work for me, then maybe like I'll try to seek extra help. But right now I feel like, I haven't tried, so as much as I want to, I'm also in the mindset of like, but again, if I fall asleep early, I can't really do a lot of stuff, whether it's gaming or not. There's just some stuff that I do want to do personally that I still today don't feel like I have time to do. But I try my best.
It'll be fine. As long as you're getting enough sleep where you feel like your body is okay, you should be all right.
I haven't fell asleep at work.
There you go.
So it all's been working out.
And you don't even drink coffee, so that's even better.
Wish I could say that, but it's funny because I didn't used to drink coffee until I started getting this job. And even then, like, I don't do it because it gets me up. I do it because it's like, okay, it helps me clear my throat, helps me kind of get some kind of something going through the, because like water doesn't really do it for me like it used to do. Like some people, just drink water in the morning, blah blah blah. It kind of gets everything working. No, my body doesn't run on that system. My body runs on force it until it happens. And so like that's what coffee is there for, because coffee has never really got me to stay up. Like, and it's probably because I need a lot more caffeine or anything, or I took too much caffeine with like Monster that like does really coffee do anything at this point. So again, it's probably like you can't really jumpstart an engine if it's low on gas. So that's kind of like how my life is right now. But it's working in a pace that I can still manage it. So something I'll work towards and everything. But those are kind of the things that I feel like, I want to say, get in the way of kind of gaming. Because like I said, like, I might play it late and stuff like that, but I am far better than what I used to be. Right? Like there's just sometimes where like you can play a game from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And those are times that I can't do that. I can't really do that too much. And maybe it's gaming's fault because I haven't had a game where it really caught my attention that long. Where it's like, like Kingdom Hearts 2. Like it hasn't been a game where I can like really drill into it and kind of continue and all that. Even like these games, like I have to put down after a while. After a while, you get sick of just looking at it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, I had a question. It just left my mind, like literally right now. I was like, "Ooh, I got the bill on right now, ready to go," and then freaking went blank.
Yeah, that was my fault. I apologize.
You're good. I think I'll kind of go along with that too. Like it's funny watching like my son, especially like during the summer break, like because he's pretty good. Like as long as he's doing good in school and stuff like that, I'll let him. If it's not a school night and stuff like that, I'll let him stay up late and everything like that. And so when I had him during the summer, he'd be like I had to go to work next day. He'd be like, "Hey, Dad," I was like, "What's up?" He's all, "Can I go ahead and like try and pull all nighter playing with my friends online?" And I was like, "Do you have anything that you're supposed to do tomorrow? Anything like that?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Sure, like you don't have to like go out with grandma and grandpa. They're not gonna take you anywhere. Like your mom's not gonna take you anywhere. Anything like that." And he's like, "No." I was like, "Yeah, I'm all for it." Like you finish school with A's and like 1B. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna crucify you for that. It's like go for it. And then it's funny because like since I stay up kind of late and stuff like that, one of the nights he did it, I was actually off the next day. And so I stayed up late that day till like 3 a.m. and like he had asked me to do this like around 9 o'clock at night, right? And I was like, "Yeah, go for it." And then like around 2 a.m, I was like here, I was just watching stuff, had my headphones on and everything. I go to the kitchen to get some water, and as I'm walking back, I see that there's lights on in his room. I was like, "Oh, let me go check up on him, see how he's doing." And I open it, and he's like passed out on his like chair. His chair is leaned like all the way back. And he's knocked out, and like the game's on, and like nothing's playing and everything. Like none of his friends are online. And as I go and I turn all this stuff up, and it's like, oh man, I remember those days trying to stay up all night gaming and everything.
You definitely know he's a good boy because he actually asked for permission. It's one of those things. Is summer is assumed that this is what's going to happen for me. Then again, like I said, back then I was able to start playing games at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon as soon as I got home. So it's a lot different experience when you're like, oh, homework takes 30 minutes and I'll go, do whatever, right? So it's one of those things.
I got a question. I remember it now, actually.
Go for it.
So, and I think this might be something maybe you and I both have an issue with, but a lot of people I know, when it comes to like, we're talking about your friends, stuff like that, having issues to play with them and stuff like that. Like, is there something with you where when it comes to playing online with other people, like you don't have like that social group that might be like, oh, I play my online I play this game online with only like these online friends that I met either through the game or like through other sources, so that, but that's the game you guys play online. Like, has the multiplayer aspect of online games, is it hard for you to do that? Like for fighting games, as an example, like there's not like a group of people who play a certain fighting game you like, and you could, even though you guys don't live together and stuff like that, you can just go online and play it together and stuff like that. Is there something that bothers it for you, or like doesn't? I don't know the exact way to say it, but like,
that is a really good question. It's just I feel like it's wasted on me only because I don't really have a good, how would I say, like a friend group like that, or a clan, right? Like you don't have like your, the people you're part of, that way, hey, we're all jumping on and stuff like that. I am part of like some smaller groups of like for Epic 7, like we talk about it and kind of like get jazzed into it, but we're not even in the same guild. Like we're just playing the game on our own speed. And that's kind of like that. I mean, for fighting games and stuff, I think if I did have that, I probably would play it more, or at least to be a little bit more meaning to what I'm playing, if that makes sense. But right now it's really hard because a lot of if I were to kind of name the games I'm playing multiplayer right now, I mean, technically Epic 7's kind of like it because you can play against friends or you can play against other people like around the world. But I mean, it's not like it's just like one-on-one turn-based against each other thing. I wouldn't exactly say that we're jumping into it, and it's kind of like, yeah, multiverse. I've done doubles with like random people. I haven't really done doubles with like a friend or anything, and something like that. Like anything that just allows me to jump on, like Fall Guys. Like I could just jump on and play with like 50 people, and until I'm the last one left or whatever. That's kind of, I could do that. That's kind of what we did. I recently started kind of playing games with most people because of work. I've had some, I now like, because in my group of coworkers, they do like to play games. They do like to try and do stuff to take them away from work. And I try to be a part of those when I can, right? When we have like our own morale events or kind of the stuff that like, hey, we're just talking and we get to try a game. Those have been kind of cool because I've been introduced to a lot more simplistic games that I didn't even know existed. Like one was like the boring game or something where you had to basically had a concept and you had to type in words based on those concepts. And at the end of the level or at the end of the match, everybody judges whether or not that word has anything to do with the actual concept. And if not, then they exit out. Yeah. And you get points for like if your word was actually something to that concept. And that was like a fun game that everybody can join real quick, knock it down and have a few matches. And that was fun. But it was like a way that, oh, okay, like these group of people that I work with, hey, want to do something. I'm trying to do that for DDR, but I'm trying to find a metal dance pad right now that I can utilize. So at least I can jump into the conversation, because right now it's like I can't jump in like with Stepmania and stuff like that because I can't physically do the challenges. Because right now they do challenges, and I think that's cool. Like, hey, this week, I'm trying to do my thing and trying to lose that weight and stuff, and I can't participate. So it's really hard for me to kind of jump in the conversation because I don't know what they're talking about. I can't see it. So those are one of those things that like I'm trying, but it's hard for a brother. That's the best way to say it.
I feel you, because like one of the things I had was with Destiny when I was playing on my Xbox. Like I randomly ended up meeting this dude online, who he was from Canada and stuff like that, but his time zone was very similar to mine here. And so I'd get home from work, stuff like that. It'd be in the evening, he'd be online, I'd be online, and so we jump on together. And then we actually started like getting like he had other people because he would play online with other people already, and so he included into me. He was like really nice, stuff like that, and we started having like a whole thing where we all play together like he'd go online, he'd message me, hey, you want to play? I was like, sure, jump into it. And then that was the first time I actually got to do like a raid, and we got to the final boss of the raid, and like we didn't get to beat it because a couple people had to jump out towards the end. But like that was the first time I ever got even just played a raid in general with people and got to actually get to the final boss. And like a couple times we were close to beating it, and it just like something happened where it just wiped us all out. But it was cool having that experience. And so when I switched over to PC, like there's so many options for that to happen and stuff like that. It's just I've had a hard time trying to find the right people where you jump into like I'm part of a Discord group. It's kind of like I think it's called like Destiny for Dads. It's pretty much what the Discord group is. Pretty much like it gets the idea of a bunch of dads together because we all have our kids and everything like that lifestyle. So at least we all have the same understanding that you can't play for long hours or you can't do this and that stuff like that. And for a minute, I was doing good about meeting new people on there, starting to play with them online. And then I think just because of school and stuff like that, I ended up falling out and stuff and everything. So I didn't get to go jump on and play as much. And it's something that I keep wanting to do and stuff like that. And I think I have a personal block where it's like it's hard for me to reach out to someone and be like, hey, you want to play? You online? You want to play something for an hour or two? Like I don't know. I guess there's just something in me when it comes to online. Like I feel like I'm gonna bother someone, but like, hey, let's play this game together. When it shouldn't be that way.
You know what? But I'm like that for other things too. Like I recently, I mean, I've always kind of knew about it, but like game dev. Like I've seen like the Reddits and stuff like that, but it's hard for me to actually even comment. Maybe because maybe I just don't feel like it's as opening as I want it to be, or like I know kind of like how some people are or whatever. So you come in with a basic question and get some not so good answers for it. Yeah. But it's one of those things that it is a personal change I'm trying to do. Because I noticed that when you kind of do something in one thing, then that kind of trait that trait kind of happens in other things. And I think it's kind of like driving a little bit. Like if you're always using the turn signal, even when you technically don't really have to, that means that you'll always use it when you do. Like if you did, you just kind of like keep it like that. And so some of those kind of traits I am trying to change personally, of trying to jump into conversations and stuff. And I know for a lot of teams, I even ask for like feedback at work, like, hey, they're like, yeah, sometimes you're quiet, but I think when you talk, you have a lot to say. So you're kind of on two ends of the spectrum in there. But yeah, a lot of times I'm not really a conversation starter kind of person, or jumping in and asking like some of the questions, like only if I really have this question, like, yeah, I kind of want to ask this question. A lot of times I'm not the person that really, pals in there, and I'm kind of like that for a lot of stuff. Like it's only a good thing for me, right? Like if I want to know something, you got to ask the question, but then you realize like, oh, talking to the internet might be a little scary. I'm not sure if I want to do that. These people, I don't know who these people are. Like I'm not one-to-one friends with them. So, but there are some people that I am like that. And I notice the more that I'm familiar with people, the more I'm willing to dive in and talk to them, and then be okay kind of asking them stuff like that. So that is something that I am trying to personally change, is try to be more inclusive into a conversation and kind of just jump in, even, like, hey, look, what's the harm? And at the end of the day, they say something, I can get over it. I'm a big boy now. I can try. But there are some times where it's like, even when you don't feel like it is stopping you, there are times where you take a step back, even when you don't have to.
I think the one thing I'm really going to push hard into, because this past Evo that came up, it was like I got to hang out with this place we'd practice for the band and stuff like that. And the singer and the place we practice, the guy whose house is at, they're huge like Street Fighter fans. And so for Evo, they're like, oh, we're gonna watch like the finals here. So we all went over, and there was like a big group of people that went. It was because at first I was like, oh, there's gonna be like 2 or 3 of us, right? Showed up, and it was a bunch of people. I was like, oh shoot! And then we had they had an Evo on the main TV, and then they had 2 monitors on the side, and one was like Street Fighter 4 and one was Street Fighter 5. And so I just jumped in, and I got my butt whooped over and over again, but kept playing. But so my thing is, when Street Fighter 6 comes out, it's like, this is where I'm gonna push myself to stick with it and play it, because it's just so fun being a part of it, being a part of friends and stuff like that, to have to do it. And when Street Fighter 6 comes out, I'm really going to go deep dive into it because I want to get back into it. Like, I want to be even more excited for Evo when it comes out and stuff like that. And I want to have a character that I'm good at and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so if you're up for it, when it comes out, you can be part of it and I'll join you. We'll join this group. I'll have you join this group and jump in with us.
Well, look, because I got a chance to play Street Fighter 6, then yeah, it's definitely something that's going to have a little, it's like small curve if we want to do all the extra stuff on it. It's definitely something that's like, yeah, I can see it. It is, Street Fighter's those games that I like, but it's slow for me, if that makes sense. Because, you know, I love Marvel's Capcom 3 and 3 Ultimate. Like, the games that are around that, I tend to really like. And DNF Duel was a recent one that I really liked. And it's like, yeah, it's one of those things. If I did have a group, I probably would do it. Like, if we did have people that we were playing, I probably would. I probably need to find something like that for multiverses now. Before, like, right now I'm on that borderline. I still haven't put really any money towards it, but it's like I should probably just do it. I played it for a few weeks. Now it's September, actually. I played it for like a month and like a week now. Like at least once every day. It's like just like trying to get stuff, and I'm nowhere near everybody else who's been able to like max out. I'm still wondering how they're doing it. I know to max out rewards, you have to be playing for a ton of time. Like it's ridiculous. Or maybe it's like if you have all the characters and you can scale points easier, but me as free to play, it's a grind. Like it's like, oh Jesus.
Well, at the same time, we don't have that time anymore. You know what I mean? Whether you get off of work, we want to have dinner with your significant other, you want to have some time with them. You know what I mean? And so it's the way I could say is like try to look at it where like, yeah, other people there's always going to be people with more time or just doing whatever they can do just to play those games, stuff like that. And you just got to find your pace and like what you're good at, stuff like that. And then I would start reaching out in some form of way, whether it's like some kind of Discord service or a Reddit forum where you can find like a group of like-minded people for that game that you're playing. And then you can start reaching out to other people and making those friendships and stuff like that. Like, I can't wait for myself to finish school because school takes up so much of my time that like once school's done, like my gaming intake is going to be so much more.
I mean, I'll be honest. Once I finally was able to let go of school, or like I finally got out of university, like life did get better. I hate to say it that way, just all like, but going to university or going to any college takes a certain level of commitment. And sometimes it's time, sometimes it's like you just doing the commute and everything. But when you're doing it alongside of work, something I really realized, especially working at Walmart with you, it took up a lot of time to do both. Like to do 32 hours a week at Walmart and them technically wanting more and not being satisfied with like those extra 2 hours. Versus like being full-time 12-hour credits at university. I didn't realize how much time it took, and that was actually one of the reasons why I stopped college band. Because what I was getting from college band and what I was kind of putting out wasn't the same as if it was in high school. In high school, I worked at the movie theater my senior year and all that, but there was more stuff that I was doing with band that I was receiving, and it allowed me to kind of partake more, do some stuff, and have a little bit more fun and stuff like that. And college band, it was kind of like, yeah, we're all gonna just have fun, but all this hard work doesn't really equal to anything. Like we're not gonna be going out and competing and all that. And I think I did it for 3 years. It was nice because like, oh yeah, they'll give me some money during the year and stuff that help with some of the college stuff, whatever, but not enough to really pay for a class or anything, mind you. But it was just like, here for your time. And even then it was just kind of like I needed more from it. And I realized I was I was not having time for particular classes because you have to be in band for like 2 hours on particular days. I was sacrificing the summers because you normally always have to do those few summers, like a summer prior or whatever, in order to really kind of, get ready and not suck at a football game. And then I was giving up Saturdays, just like how I gave up on Fridays for school. I was giving up Saturdays for the van, and I realized I was already taking off Saturdays from work, so I wouldn't be so overworked from doing both school and work. And but now I had to take up Saturday in order to also now do this other commitment. And when I finally made the decision, like, yeah, I just can't be in it next year. I'm sitting there apologizing to myself. Like, I was playing saxophone for say about 9 years straight, playing saxophone and stuff like that, and to just abruptly stop because like it was just too much time. It sucked to have that feeling, but the reward of having that time back was very big. Being able to have Saturdays back and being able to concentrate on other things at the time. And when I finally left Walmart, you don't understand how big of a jump and productivity and everything else happened after that from university, because it was like when I was struggling before trying to make everything work, that year after I left Walmart, graduated, knocked out the credits, got a job at El Paso, and then finally got the job that I have now, all under 12 months. It's just like it seemed like everything was staggering for a little bit, and then when certain things pause, then the thing that didn't pause literally jumps up, to a good margin. So you'll probably find that too. Like once university does stop, and you're like, oh wow, I got a lot more time to do some stuff, and hopefully you can spend that time doing like kind of like the work you're going to university for to make it more awesome. But like right now, it's like it's awesome that I don't have like the learning that I'm doing is because it's self-interest.
Right.
So that's kind of what I like. This is all self-interest. I want to better myself without having to pay somebody or kind of be somewhere else. And I don't mind being in a classroom to better myself either. And I probably will do that for certain things, but it won't be such a time constraint that it was before. And I just kind of hope that something good comes out of it. If not, it doesn't. I've done a lot of stuff in my life to make sure I got to a point where I could be safe and still play games and still do all this other stuff and be married and all that. Like I'm glad I'm at that point where I could make all this work. So at least that time that I did spend in university and, doing all that stuff, even working at Walmart, led to something. And I'm kind of glad that it led to this.
Heck yeah. What's one thing you could do what's one thing you think you could do to change a way to put aside more time for gaming? And gaming in a sense where like it's not like a chore, like, oh, I have to put this amount of time on this day for this week to play and stuff like that. It's more like just to have like your own leisure time, so you have more gaming time.
I'll be honest. One of the things I did think about doing, which I thought was kind of creative, is just reverse my day. Can I go to bed early enough and wake up early enough? Like, some people wake up at 5 o'clock and they do that stuff. I tried. It's hard. It's like try to, wake up, do all the other stuff and blah, blah, blah. But I did think about doing it that way. Just like, is there a way for me to do stuff just early morning? And then do the stuff. Cause I've also watched a lot of YouTubers who, that's kind of like their day now, right? It's like they'll get up early, maybe do what they need to do, probably do the video about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then kind of have everything done, post out, and then the rest of the day is theirs. Maybe a little bit harder for me to do that, but I'm in a particular position now where I think is worth considering. It's the quiet time between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. is true quiet time. Like it's really hard to give that up and thinking that I might get it from like 4 to 7. But it's something I've been thinking about as a way to try to do that, because unfortunately the best way to really kind of make time for it is to make it a task, is to schedule it, and is to be like, hey, 7 to 8, get it straight. Let's do some stuff around this time. That's kind of where I'm thinking in the back of my mind is that, yeah, I probably have to do something like that. I probably have to listen to some of the people who maybe that has worked for them for that. I just feel like the person I am right now doesn't like that kind of stuff. I'm a little bit more free form than that. So kind of what about you? Have you thought about trying to do stuff to kind of separate your time?
Because I recently started doing this past month in August, so I actually started playing a lot more games then, or just gaming in general. And it's because I would spend a lot of my time just like watching YouTube podcasts or like watching random things on YouTube and stuff like that, like not even anything really meaningful and stuff like that. And I started realizing like, oh, I've been watching these different amounts of sports segments for 2 hours now. It's like I could have been playing a game during this time instead. And so it's like it's learning to replace like those things with like gaming, because like especially now that I'm at the point where like I'm enjoying gaming again and it brings me like fun, happiness, and like comfort. It's like I got to a point where like my favorite podcasts that I listen to and stuff like that, like I'll skip out on episodes and I won't go back to listen to them. I'm just like, all right, like I missed it, it's out there, but whatever. Like the topics that are showing up on the list aren't really that great, or not something I'm super interested in. So cool, I'm just gonna play this game instead. I'm gonna do this instead. You know what I mean? And then it's been liberating, but it's like it's kind of like giving up something else for something. But I prefer the gaming something over this.
I didn't realize how much of a YouTube buff I would have become. Because quite honestly, like, and maybe I'm kicking myself for it too, because I felt like the time that YouTube started, like, and I was looking at some videos, I probably should have started making videos around that time, and I probably would have solved a lot of issues. But I didn't realize how much of YouTube that I'm willing to consume until I started getting to other stuff. Like, well, at first it was tutorial videos, how to do this, how to, calculus, how to write kind of Java, C++ tutorials and stuff. And then it was like tech. I got really into tech. I had the tech channel, and like I was kind of really trying to be more vested into it. And then now I'm like, this YouTuber did this. I watched the KSI fight this last weekend. I'm trying to figure out what kind of drama is happening. This guy got sued, now it's like, now I'm in it to win it. And sometimes you're like, I'll be wasting more time the same way I would with Netflix, searching for something to watch, like at least put in the background, or else I'll feel uneasy. And then I realized like, oh wow, like YouTube eats up a lot of my time. I think if anything, it's funny because I could probably say, and it's probably true, YouTube stops me from playing more games than probably anything else, because it's like even Laura will give me time like to play a game or whatever if I truly ask. But YouTube's like, yo, are you sure about that? I'm like, what about Trash Taste? You didn't watch a lot of the Trash Taste. You haven't even watched a full episode. Shame on you. Matter of fact, you saw this video already. Watch it again.
Yeah.
It's something that I've noticed too. It's like the algorithm is abusive. Like they're like, no, watch this 3 times. But like I already watched the video, and it wants me to watch it again. It's like, no, watch it again. Like you liked it, you have to watch it again. Like why? I already saw it. I'm gonna start doing like what some people do, is just watch stuff at 2x speed and just be like, I'm just trying to get through the content, because now I'm just content hungry. Like anime doesn't even do this for me now. Like sometimes after like 3 or 4 animes, I might take a break from anime just because it's like, I think I've seen enough. I need to go do something else before I try to consume more anime content. That's probably more anime's fault of what's happening right now, but I like being caught up because I can do that. But like YouTube, you can't get caught up on YouTube. You might get caught up on your favorite creators, but YouTube, there's always something. Every time in the day, there's always somebody posting a video and stuff, and it just eats your time. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I really want to go play a game, but it requires me to stop watching this. And I do have that thought, and it's like, that is such a weird thought. Like, when did I started thinking like that? Or it's like, this thing, this is not going to disappear, but I can't stop. And it's so weird. And it's like, I know you felt it too, because that's why you're laughing, but it's such a weird thing when you realize like, oh wow, like my YouTube time, I don't want to see analytics of how much YouTube I consumed over the years. I'll scare
Come on,
myself.
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm doing this and not getting paid. No, like I don't want to. I don't want to know that. Like I'm watching it, for us and try to get more to learn more about it. But I'll tell you, man, it's like there's some times where like I got really big in the ASMR.
Really?
And yeah, because I realized some of the things that do help me calm down and focus more is having ASMR running in the background. Tones like really kind of still me out sometimes. Kind of some of the like some of that actually kind of helps me. Even during work, it will really help me if I'm trying to code or if I'm trying to really figure out something that's kind of difficult. Sometimes actually doing ASMR in the background really helps. And the abusive algorithm was like, so you want to get an ASMR, right? Here's this, and then they start showing me people that's like, oh yeah, you do want to watch, this girl and half everything kind of being shown and all that, and you're like, no, like I want to listen to it. Then now you're telling me I have to actually watch some of these people. So they purposely put people that are like, yeah, I'm gonna wear this particular outfit because I need your time. And it's like, no, that's not what I'm here for. That's why, like, even now with ASMR, like I have it on, but I put another thing in front of it because I don't want to see it. So I don't ever see it. Like I just do it mostly audio because that's how I consume it. Like I'll have my earphones, put it in my ear, lay down, and that's how I consume it. I don't consume it by watching. Even when it's like, oh, watch it, do that. Like I don't. I just need it playing in my ear. And so that's one of the things that this has been like a now thing this last year that I've actually done.
So pretty much this podcast is just full of two people who have ADHD and haven't been actually diagnosed with it. We're just dealing with it through YouTube algorithms.
I've been thinking about it. If there's one thing to go to the doctor for, it'd be like, look, man, I know I fell asleep as a kid and I know it wasn't my fault now. So maybe I just didn't get it treated back then when the early signs were there. Now I'm an adult with it and I don't know what to do. Maybe that's why I haven't developed a game yet, because I have ADHD. I want to do everything at one time and it's not happening fast enough.
This also goes into cutting in our gaming time because it's like, oh, I want to play games. It's like, oh, but I'd rather do this instead, or I'd rather do this instead.
Yeah, it's sad when you think about it like that. It's like, man, that's why we don't have time for video games, because everything else is trying to grab our attention and they're winning.
Yeah.
Like
that shit. Oh, there it is.
Well, think if me and you were like Snapchat and Twitter and TikTok, if we were on those platforms too that are like designed. Like I was just doing YouTube shorts and I saw one and YouTube was like, I'm just going to keep replaying the same one until you change it. And it's like, oh. So I change it and then I started looking at these and then I try to search. I'm like, okay, no, it's getting me. Click no YouTube shorts right now. Because it's like, cause I'm trying not to have too many reasons to get a TikTok. But
I'm there where like I won't do YouTube shorts, I won't do Snapchat at all, and then I do TikTok because my partner like loves sending me TikTok stuff like that, and so I make it to a point where like TikTok is the thing where like it's a treat for me. Like I won't get on it every day. I'll get on it every few days, maybe once a week. Like I purposely like had to have a conversation with myself being like, no, you're not going to get addicted to another social media platform. Like your phone's not going to be blowing up on this and stuff and everything. Like you're going to stop. And for a while TikTok was kind of weird because like my partner would send me like TikToks, but because I try and keep the notifications off so that way it doesn't ding me and I don't get that serotonin like, ooh, I got a message, you know what I mean? And but TikTok's really weird where like it wouldn't I wouldn't get the notification on it, but it wouldn't notify me if I opened the app. It was like some weird bug where like it wouldn't show that I had a message that she sent me and everything. And so I wouldn't see her TikToks and she's like, hey, you're not watching my TikToks. I'm like, well, you sent me some, and I had to go into the messages and then it would show in there that I had messages from her that she sent. And so I had to switch it to actually have the notifications pop up. And so like now I have them pop up, but I've trained myself to just, if they pop up when I see them and I open my phone, I just swipe them right to just throw them away. Like, God, I'll get to them eventually.
Man, I'm trying to do that for Discord, and Android on Discord is just like I get every single message like separately in the notification panel, and it drives me insane because there are some parts where I try to be part of it, but now I'm just like watching. But like when you're part of a Discord that's popping, like that's the only thing that wants to show on your phone. It's insane in that. But I would see TikTok from other people. I know I send you a ton of stuff on iFunny, and some of that are like TikToks that someone copied and threw it on iFunny. But to me, I like scrolling forever on memes and just seeing the memes, because sometimes memes help you kind of figure out what's happening today. If there's like a bunch of memes on something, then you kind of get like current events news right then and there. Like, oh, what the president do? Oh, who's this person? Or oh, it's Morbin time. Wonder what that's about. It's like you kind of get notified a lot of stuff, and then some of the stuff like it relates too hard. Where I'm like, I share with different people. Like, hey, I know you like this. I know you like this. Now I'm like meme managing and stuff like this. Like just the administrator. Like I'm here to share the meme from other people. Nothing more. I'm just here to do God's work and just kind of bring laughs to you throughout the day. So it's a little bit harder because it's like even with iFunny, like I might put it down after 5 minutes. Like, not big. It's easier to pull up, look at something, save the memes, and then move on to something else. I don't think it'd be that easy for TikTok. It's like I feel like TikTok would be a little bit harder. Like my cousin's
TikTok's dangerous. Like because I'm not on TikTok enough, my algorithm always ends up getting changed up at some point, depending how long I stay away from it. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that happens, because I've seen parts where like I'll get on it like maybe 2 days in a row, and the algorithm starts going, and like, oh no, like I see where this can get me hooked onto it. Like I'm kind of, as a blessing and a curse with like, because my biggest things have always been like Twitter and Instagram to go for just my scrolling things, and I follow a lot of like gaming stuff on Twitter and stuff like that, but lately Twitter's been glitching on me where like it'll show me tweets, but it won't show me like a good amount of new tweets. It just shows me some tweets, and it takes me back to where I was already on there. And it's like, okay, so I have to refresh it again, and then I have to refresh it again, and it's like I'll now have to go to like the live tweets, whatever option on that point. And so because I have to keep doing all these steps, it's like making me not be on it anymore. It's like, all right, like I'm done with this. Like you're making me work to just do non-brain work. I'm not gonna do this. And Instagram's the same way, because you have so many of like the things popping up where it's like, oh, you should follow this, you might like this, you might, instead of following the stuff I'm actually following. And so it's like, okay, I'm gonna be done with this, and I just get rid of it. You know what I mean? And so
I understand that, because Facebook is the biggest problem with that. Is like Facebook is definitely getting information from other places. Like I was doing like a simple translation of one of our videos, just trying to do like English to Spanish, and I started getting Spanish memes on Facebook.
That's great.
Like not only that, it was like actual group pages and stuff. And then like I don't even know how this happened. I started getting like I don't know what I saw or what I just see anything, but Facebook started showing me like sauce groups. Like, hey, here's the sauce for like this anime, or here's the sauce for this. And then I got this one group I still haven't followed. I still don't really click on the content, but I'll scroll down through my timeline feed and it'd be like, hey, here's another sauce and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, this ain't sponsored content, so why am I seeing it? You know, something like that. And I think Instagram is less worse, because Instagram might take advantage of like, hey, you saw a lot of Gundam. Here's some other Gundam models that you might see, or here's some more Gundam models from, the person who you saw first. Do that for cosplayers and everything else, and yeah, you can't turn your phone on in public. It's like you can't. It's one of those things where it's like at least dives into the thing that you might have been curious at one point, and it's be like, head first, let's do it. Twitter tells me about stuff I have no idea or part of. Like it will word it, like if you get a tweet, it will word it in a way that some person talked to me, and I realized, like I click on it and it's like, I had nothing to do with the tweet that was posted. Not following this person, didn't know what the conversation was, but for some reason Twitter was like, yeah, this ain't the top tweet, but you got to know about it. And it's like, why? Yeah, I have nothing to do with this person. And Twitter's mainly that kind of thing. Like unless you're a public person, like these people might have been big, but it's like I'm not getting like Jacksepticeye tweets, or PewDiePie
Yeah.
said this, or Will Smith said that. I'm not getting those tweets. I'm getting something that like this, hey, this girl's interested, and then like, why? It's like, then I'll look at it and I'll be like, no, it just has nothing to do with even any of that. It just seemed like they fabricated an ad, and I'm like, well, am I getting noticed on Twitter for some reason? I gotta check it out because it might be bad, and realize it has nothing to do with me. And it's like, to the point, to the conversation, to the person. I'm just like, why Twitter? Like, he's like, if no one's talking to me, then don't make it sound like someone's trying to talk to me. Like this, it's just kind of weird. And I'll screenshot one, and you tell me how you would take that conversation. And you know what? I might even do it right now. Let's see if Twitter's trying to tell me something.
But like, with all those, I guess I could say hiccups or glitches that have been happening on my phone with like these social media services, it's been adding to my time of playing more games this past month in August. Like it's been a weird like whole spiral of like, this is all starting to come into some weird fruition where it's like, oh, now you're gonna start playing more games because this is happening and that's happening, and I don't know, it might just be me being fatigued with these social media aspects and other things and stuff in my life. So I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna start gaming instead, and it's like that could be a possibility. But if that's the case, like that makes me really happy because I'm glad that I'm starting to play just more games in general, because there's like stuff I want to get back into. Like I want to get back into Destiny, and then I definitely want to play freaking I want to get back and replay Cyberpunk 2077, and then I want to do both Nier games. I haven't played Automata, and I've played maybe half of the remaster of the first one, Replicant, and so I want to go back and beat it because like it was one of those things where I was having so much fun with, and it's like I just dropped off with, and it's like I need to get back into these things. Like I was enjoying them a lot. I was having so much fun, so I need to get back into them and play them because I'm having it itching to play them.
Have you played, or I'm not sure if you've seen it, like the remake for The Last of Us Part 1?
I saw it pop up. Yeah, it's
such an insane version difference from like when it first came out. Like I'm not sure if you've seen like some of the videos or whatever.
Yeah, I have.
Like I just like redone the models, and like, I mean, like, yeah, this is what you need. This is how you need to redo like how this game needs to be played. This is like the best. Kind of like, it's not like Final Fantasy 7 remake level where it was like, yeah, they changed the experience 100%. I'm here for it, but definitely the graphical like updates and the change of the models and stuff make that game look good. And I was really surprised and stuff like that. And it's nice. I think that was a good thing about social media, because I wouldn't have even known. Like, I probably saw it at one of like the game convention stuff, but I wouldn't have known to like that this game came out or is being remade and how good it looked. Because honestly, I already played The Last of Us, and if you know me, games like The Last of Us, I'm only gonna play one time. Because I already know I can never get that experience of me going through it again. And so I'm not a new game plus person, because I don't feel, after I just spend a lot of hours on it, I don't feel the need to speed run it a second time. What was it? Scarlet Nexus. I'm not sure if you heard that game.
I haven't played it.
So it's a game you have to play twice, because you need to see both sides of both the characters' viewpoint. But my thing is, go watch the anime, because the anime kind of ruined that all for you. But the problem is like they created two main characters, and you have to play one. They kind of end up in the same spot, because that was the point of it all. But you play through one, and then you get like all the character, or you have like the let me do like the dating sim kind of part with these characters, and then you can do the same thing with the other group of characters and play the game. But it's like, yeah, but you already know what's going to happen. I already know how this kind of ends. There might be slight differences because you're playing either or person, but I'm not going to do that. Like, I don't have that much time in games to experience a story twice, even though like, yeah, it's probably a different experience, but it's the fact that I'm still playing the same game, and that it's hard for me to do a new game plus and then start from the very beginning, get all the power-ups, and there's some stuff that I can't do twice. And a game like The Last of Us, like I probably wouldn't play it again if it's still the same like experience, just updated, because I already lived through it. This is why I like Final Fantasy VII Remake, because yeah, I did live through it, but I didn't live through it like this. So the effort, the casting, voice acting, the fighting, how they've drawn the little things out to be a little bit more special. That is what requires. It's a high bar, but that's what's going to get me to replay a game that I've played before, unless it's like a timely classic. But that's kind of what I need. I'm not a guy. If I play a game that I played a few hours before, not gonna do it twice. That's just me.
So when it comes to like The Last of Us Part 1 remake, I've never fully played through The Last of Us because I didn't own a PS3 and I got a PS4 late. And I have it on my PS4 and I was playing it at one point, but then I just stopped. It was one of those things where I was playing it and my partner was like gonna watch me play it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of these like she came over, we started playing it, did it a couple times, and then just kind of fell off at that point because like I wanted to keep playing it, but I was like, no, like I want to make sure she's around to play it because she said she wants to watch me play it. And then she would come over and we would just decide to watch a movie or a TV show or do something else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to play this remake because it looks great, but I don't own a PS5, and the only reason why I don't own a PS5 is because that thing is way too big to fit in my room.
As someone who's found ways to make it work, because it is a big monster compared to the Xbox, you make room.
I could make room, but it's like for my Xbox alone, I have it mounted next to my TV over here.
Well, I was gonna say like you could like wall mount them and like make them look like they're floating.
Yeah, that's what I have to do with the PS5, and it's like when they were first coming out for pre-orders and stuff like that, there was a couple times where I literally had it in my cart and I could have just bought it, and I was like, where am I gonna put it in this room? And so I just didn't buy it, and that's been my biggest reason for not buying one at this point. It's like
I would have just assumed it would be hard to get it. Quite honestly.
No, because I even follow like a Twitter account that like will announce like when like a certain site's gonna put it up and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And like I've been on there some couple times just to like try it out, and like not like a good more than half of the time I'm able to get in and I could buy one if I want from this person. And it's like sweet, and I'm like, but that's gonna be a whole thing of having to find it because where I have my PS4 is under my desk right here, but the shelving that holds it, the PS4 fits, but the PS5 would definitely not fit in there.
Definitely will not.
Yeah.
I did find one at a Best Buy. Like I actually found it from Warren. I was like, hey, I found like the disc and the disc-less version. And I was just kind of like, hey, I found it for you. I hold it. It's here in my hand. Are you gonna come get it? And he didn't at the time because he was like, yeah, I kind of have some other stuff I got to do. But I was like, hey, well, I found it. What I wasn't trying to really look at it. So stuff like that. Like that's why I get consoles on day one. Like I know there's bugs and probably some other stuff like you got to worry about. But the thing I don't want to worry about is hunting it. Like when I had to hunt for the Xbox Series X, like I'm like nowinstock.com trying to get the notifications, and I mean I lucked out because when I went and got it, there were supposed to be 6 or 7. By the time I drove home, it updated, all of them were gone.
Oh,
it's like by the time I went 20 minutes there, asked him, he got it, acquired, bought it, went home, all of them were gone. It's just like and I try to just avoid those. I really don't like to be like hunting for something, especially because I'm only trying to get one. I'm not really in the little scouting thing and stuff. Like I feel like that's too much effort, and quite honestly, I don't need to be doing any of that. So it's just like I'm trying to just get the one. I can get the one that works, and I'm not trying to buy it from somebody. I need to get it from a store somewhere where it's like I got a card that you can swipe, and I can at least get some points or something. But I like these people want stupid money from it. I don't play that game.
Yeah.
But there was one thing I did want to play, or actually kind of ask you for. Do you have time to play games with other people for the long term? Like, I know we kind of talked about playing with friends, try to jump into groups and anything, but let's say like for your friends now, do you have time to play like long form games with them?
Not really, because a lot of my friends are not big into multiplayer games. and like I've grown in the sense of like playing a lot more multiplayer games and stuff like that because I'm enjoying them. But they're more based on like single player games and stuff like that, and so it's like, okay, like if this battle royale is coming out, it looks kind of fun. It's like I'll try it out, but I'm not gonna have anyone to jump in with it and stuff like that because they're not really gonna make the effort to try and play it and stuff like that. And it really feels like I'm pulling teeth to try and get them into this and stuff like that. Like, come on, play some Fall Guys. It's fun. I promise. They're like, I don't know, and stuff like that.
One day we'll try to create our own community and just have random people kind of play with us and stuff. I think that'd be something cool to do in the future.
Heck yeah.
That'd be the reason to get a Discord server going. Just so like, yeah, we're all old timers, you know, in our 30s, and we want to jump into Fall Guys like the rest of the kids and stuff like that. It's like it'd be nice to try Among Us again with some people. Like, I know, like, I haven't really jumped into it a lot, but it'd be nice to like 1 or 2 games here and there. Like I said, I'm trying my best to be a little bit more outgoing and try to play with people and stuff like that, while I'll try to put some stuff aside and everything. But I only asked that because one of the things that me and my brother used to do was play Gears of War together. And like we said, like, it was just me and him. I wouldn't touch the game if he wasn't playing with me. And some other games I think some are starting to kind of come out now. One thing I've noticed with Sword and Shield, do not try to like wait for anybody to play. I jump into like the raid battles or the Dynamax battles. It's just like, why? Like, why? I don't want to do that. And it's like, I don't see the point of doing it. But the new game is supposed to have a big feature like that, where you're doing more like battles, and instead of having it like regular turn based, it's just now just, hey, you're not waiting for anybody. We're just going. It's like, just go, like, attack. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, but I still have to wait for other people. And I think one of the things that said, like, man, this is for the birds. And when it's like, oh, you got to wait for like 4 players to jump. And I was like, wait for people? No, I'm not doing that. It's like, there's a lot of stuff I actually, after playing it, I was like, there's some stuff I appreciate what they try to do, and there's some stuff that I absolutely hate, like trading. I want to be able to trade for particular Pokemon like I used to do in the past, where it's like, I just need Sobble, and who has a Sobble is willing to trade it for me, and they need this, and okay, cool, I have that, I'll trade it so I can get it. I don't have that. And they took that away, and I don't understand why they did that. It's like, just link, and then you could do like a link to link, or you could do this, and you just pick whatever Pokemon to trade, and there you go. And it's like, yeah, but there's no communication. Like, I don't know what the guy wants, and so at best, like, he'll just exit, and it's like, okay, cool. And worse is just like, oh, well, we're just trying to fight what we're gonna try and trade. I'm like, no, this is a terrible thing, because I don't know what the other person wants. And so it's just like, here, it's kind of like bidding. It's like, hey, I have a gold coin. How much you want to pay for it? It's like, $5? No. 10? No. 100? I'll take 100. Yeah, I'm not doing 100. Like, it's like, you know, it's kind of dumb. Yeah, it's like, at least then, like, it made sense to be hands off with it. But now it's like, no, like, now it's like, I don't want to do it at all, because it's like, yeah, but I have to do this and that, and it doesn't benefit me to do that. And I'm hoping it's not really like that in the new game. But and that's more like a side, that's just like the current example that I have. But when it comes to like the, you know, It Takes Two stuff, that's, you know, not really a long game, but it takes a commitment of 2 people in the same room. And for when me and Laura were playing it, it took like, we got to get done with work, we got to get done with actually eating, not starving ourselves, get a dog eat, go outside, you use the restroom, I use the restroom. It's 8:45, you're gonna be awake by at least by 10. We gotta cram whatever kind of gameplay we can. So we and her can't just blaze it. If me and you were playing the game, that game would just be done in a night. Like, it would just be like, yo, let's harp it, let's do it.
We have work tomorrow. That's cool. Let's finish this game and we'll be fine.
Yeah, but it's not the same when you do it from other people. But I still consider that a long form game, because it does take another person to do it for a long period of time. It's not like, hey, I just need to do this mission. Can you jump? Like, it's not like a Borderlands thing. Like, we just need to do this one thing real quick and you could go about your business. Me is like, no, like, it's like there's some games that you need both. So that's why I asked that. It's like, can you even have the opportunity to do that with your friends?
It's like
for me, it's hard.
It's hard for me, but like there's exceptions I'll make, and I know like there's one like my basis will make an exception to play Gears. That's the one game we have played together and stuff like that. So we'll make an exception. We'll make time to play that together. And then speaking of Pokemon, like my son's gotten into Pokemon and he enjoys it. And so when the new game comes out, I'm gonna get it with him, and then I'm gonna play it through all the way through. He plays all the way through, and then I have a couple of friends who are like insane like Pokemon fans, stuff like that. Do you remember Bobby?
Yeah.
He's crazy into it, dude. So like what we'll do for sure is like coming up for this new game, I'll let you know. I'll get his friend code status stuff, send it to you and stuff like that. And that way like it could be me, you, my son, Bobby and his partner, and it could be all 5 of us. We'll play the game all at the same time, and then we could trade off and stuff like that. And like they're really big into like shiny hunting and all that stuff. And so it'll be your source to get like, hey, I just want this, and he'll be like, oh yeah, I got it. It'll probably be a shiny version of it and stuff like that.
Like, but I would like to do that. Like, at least start with somebody. Like, I think the good thing about Pokemon is like if other people have the version and you're together, that's cool. Like, I think that's one of the coolest things. When I know every time when we started, I used to start with some of my older friends. We would get the different ones. And the first day, we're like, okay, you trade this trade, I trade this trade, you trade this trade. We're like, we have the plan, so that way our last accounts all ended up with the starters and stuff that we wanted.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, don't name your character the name that it is now because it's gonna change. So it's like, you got this, you got this. Do we all have the starters? Good. All right, we got this. Because that's what I mean. If I would have kept my second Switch, I probably would do that. It's like Sword Shield or Violet Ruby, and then just restart, blah blah blah, send, restart, blah blah blah, send. But that's why I kind of like the other trading thing, because it's like, yeah, people are making so many eggs or whatever, so they're just trying to trade array for particular things, and it's like, oh, I wish they would have run that back. But I did. Those are the things that is good to start with people, because then you can find a way how to start right. Like now, it's like I wish I could get Sobble the water Pokemon, because I'm not a fan of the water Pokemon in this new generation. Like, outside of the all looking just weird and all that other kind of stuff, it's like the only cool one is the one that looks like a spy. It's like everybody else is like they just downplayed, the type of water stuff.
Yeah,
like Draco fish. Like, hey, I'm a fish with a body. It's like that's kind of where we're at. Like that's where the creativity after creating 800 Pokemon has come to. It's like you're like, I don't know what else to do besides just release old version Pokemon with new forms. Like we're struggling over here, man.
What's going to be the fake Pikachu this time?
Basically, they start doing that. It's like, how can we have a Pikachu without Pikachu? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I can see that, because in every game there is one now. Yeah, but at least, and they've been big hits. Shoot, Mimikyu was a big hit. The one right now, Monpikyu or whatever it's called, like the dark electric one. And some of them are like it, but those are like, I do like when we start like together on a game like that, because then there are just some things that you care about. I'm gonna catch it no matter what anyways. I'm not like I'm not gonna catch Pokemon. Yeah, they're just, sometimes you're like, I like both starters and I'm willing to pick a main, but sometimes I'm like, no, I want it all. I just give them to me. I don't understand why we're playing it like this. Like, you should be able to catch these at least later on in the game. I don't know why we still can't catch other starters. I'm talking so much, I'm like losing my breath. Woo! Kind of getting me fired. There was another thing I did want to ask you, and it's actually kind of towards that question, is that do short form games really change your buying decision? Mainly games kind of, that are like, this is only 4 hours. or you look at it like Steam, you look at the play time that people have invested into it. Like, do those get you to want to buy it more? Like, oh, it's a popular game, or it looks like it's fun. I could do it within a week. I don't have to do all 4 hours in a single day, and I could definitely kill it in a week, and I'll have my game time in. Like, do you kind of search out games like that?
I'm starting to a lot more now, and I'm actually enjoying games that like don't necessarily like. It's a game that you can beat, but the whole like funness of the game is the gameplay itself, and not really beating the game. So like, it's just games where it's like you go in and like the loop that it is, and there's the scenes that you're doing, stuff like that. It's like this is the fun part of the game, and you could play 4 to 5 hours of it, and you could play maybe 6, and you could beat it, or you could just keep playing the game and keep upgrading your resources. You're building aspects of like this little house, or upgrading your character. Like you don't really need to do because you can beat the game at that point, but you just don't beat it. And it's like, yeah, I'm enjoying those. It reminds me a lot of like being little and playing like Metroid or Castlevania for the first time. Like I was too young and dumb to figure out how to beat the game, but the game was just so fun to play that I would just keep playing it over and over until I would get bored, and then you'd have to restart the game when you go back the next day or 2 days from there, and then do it over again, and then your memory kind of kicks in like, okay, I remember this, I remember that, and you get faster at it and go further, and then you just either get bored or you just can't get past this part because you don't know how to solve this puzzle.
Yeah.
And so a lot of smaller games and indie games are starting to hit that niche for me and coming out more often and stuff like that. So it's like I don't really technically have to beat this game, but the gameplay in it is so fun, and even if I have to restart the game because it doesn't have a good save file, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
How about for yourself?
Oh, well, I'm definitely not it's about the dirty, not the destination kind of man. I'm not really kind of a lot of that. Sometimes I am, because the gaming is about the entire experience, really. It's not just like how did it end. Normally everybody messes up the ending. But there are some times that I have done that purely for the fact that I can beat it. Because I think everybody has that 2-week attention span. Like where we go hard in 2 weeks on any idea where we want to do it, a project, an idea, and gaming. Like we have, I think, a 2-week time span, and whatever you do in those 2 weeks, that's pretty much the most you're going to be doing for that one thing. And I think that was like that for Tales of Arise, where I loved playing it, and as soon as we had to go to El Paso for the wedding, and I came back, all ties were cut, and I didn't jump back into it until literally the summer after. And I think it's like I do appreciate when I can get a full experience for not that long. Like I think for some games, and it's probably because some games are a lot more repetitive than I really want them to be, and like the cool parts are not really popping off that fast, that like some games I'm like, yeah, how many chapters, what chapter am I at? I just want to beat it. The hero one and the Cruel King, that was one that was like, oh, this is not really exciting gameplay kind of thing. Like we got to wrap this up, and it's in Japanese too. Like no, we got like not even Japanese. It's like Japanese like voice acting. It's like no, like I can't do this for 20 hours, and it wasn't a 20-hour game. And I was like, oh, it's not. I'll try it. I'll play it. All cool. And I beat it, and I got to be like, oh yeah, it's like. But then I kind of get to that task thing. Like I was like, yes, the gaming. I got it out. I got the game, and so I got the chance to play it. But like, I felt good about it because I was able to actually play and beat a game, and that was nice. And wasn't something small like a mobile game or just something else. And so I do sometimes take that into great consideration. Like it literally has to be Persona 5 or something like that for me to really say like, no, I don't care how long it is, we're here for it. But those are games that end up being exceptional for the genres that they're in. And so action games, I think I've been playing a lot more action adventure games because of that, like just running around and stuff. I was thinking about picking up the Final Fantasy like kind of other game, like Stranger, I forgot what it's called. It was more action based, but people said it was corny, but you could just get into it and like play it and all that.
The way you have to kill chaos, right?
Yeah. I mean, Dissidia wasn't that bad either, well, in that aspect. But there's some games where it's like, oh yeah, it probably won't take too much time. And I'm wondering if Final Fantasy 16 is going to be the same, like maybe a little bit longer with a more deeper story. But since I know it's not really turn based, and they looked at Final Fantasy 7 remake and like people dig this, this is dope. You know, are we going to do the same thing but stretch out like meaningful parts while still give them that gameplay long enough for them to continue each meaningful part? So I'm hoping something like that really happens. But for now, there are games, especially indie games, smaller games, games on Steam, even trying some games on the phone. If I know that it's not going to take a long time, I probably will more so give it a shot than like a game that I know, like, hey, it seems interesting, I might like it, and it seems like it has all of the bells and whistles. But if it's not Assassin's Creed, then more likely it might be hard for me to jump into it.
Right.
Which they just announced Assassin's Creed Mirage. Like,
Yeah.
that's gonna be the next Assassin's Creed game. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think this month they have like a whole Ubisoft thing, right?
They've been having a lot of promotional stuff too, like 15 years and all that. And
I think they're gonna have like an actual like Ubisoft stream, kind of like a Nintendo Direct, but just for like Ubisoft games and stuff. And that's gonna be like the
it's about
main
time.
thing.
They're a big enough company. Like they pose a lot of the games that are actually out right now, or that keep coming out. They're really. You could debate on whether or not they're a good publisher or not, but I like the content that Ubisoft puts out. So they're one of my game companies that I do kind of pay attention to because they hit a lot of spectrums of games, like stuff like that, like Just Dance, or even like games like kind of like the Mario
Rabbids game.
Yeah, like just stuff like that. Like they have a really broad swipe. They
like
need
their
to
bread and butter is the open world checklist type of thing, and then they sprinkle everything else around.
Yeah, I do wish they get a little bit better from it, but like Assassin's Creed 5 Unity versus Assassin's Creed Origins was a really big jump. Mm-hmm. And then Odyssey, I felt like was a really good introduction to the game, and a lot of people have been liking Valhalla, like everything they got to bring for that. So they're getting better on like at least try to make like meeting people seem more interesting. They just need to figure out like how can we actually push the envelope for open world, and I think Ubisoft will probably do a lot better as a publisher for a lot of things. I think even there's one time I do want to have a conversation with you with Square Enix, because Square Enix right now I think is going to a really big change of like they're selling Crystal Dynamics, or Crystal Dynamics I think already got bought, and
they got bought, because they sold all their US studios. Is what it is.
But like,
or not US, but Americas.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if they're also selling the same company that's doing Forsaken right now. Yeah. They say they might let that may or may so be let go, and it's like that's probably one of like the only times that would look like, hey, this game looks more like Final Fantasy than most games. Like I get why people have the gripe with it, but at least I'm looking at this game like, yeah, I think I can probably enjoy this. Like kind of just doing stuff. They need to stop showing me parts of the game, because it's kind of like a Marvel movie right now, and they're trying to show the whole plot before you can even go to the movies.
That's like my biggest issue with just like media in general, like entertainment media, is like when it comes to movies, if there's a movie I know I want to watch, I'll watch the first preview and I'll try my best to stay away from any other previews afterwards, and vice versa with games. Like the only difference with games is like I'll try it, because you'll usually get like a CG trailer, and then you'll get like some gameplay trailer later on. And depending how those first two hit for me, if they satisfy me, then I'm not going to check out any more stuff after that. If they didn't hit for me, but I'm still interested in the game, then I'll wait for the next one to pop up and see if that changed my interest. And then at that point, that's when I stop. I'll be like, all right, I'm done. Cool, there's a new trailer. I'm not going to watch it. Cool, there's this. I'm not going to watch it, because
pretty much
it gives away so much at that point. And it's like, okay, well, I wanted to experience that. That would have been a cool experience.
Yeah, because I think one of the things that we notice when we get older, we're not as hungry to try to find every nook and cranny, because I think it's a lot easier for leaks to get spread now because of social media, and some people just have a way of finding the cracks in communication. Yeah. But a lot of times it's kind of like I don't do it, because I know if I get spoiled on something and it comes true, then it dials down the spoil. Like phones, for instance, like, yeah, it's bad that phones come out every year now, but I think it's worse when in April the phone specs, and September it's pretty much that's it. So that means like, oh, from it leaking and everything, nothing changed. And now I'm probably a little bit more sad where I kind of wish I was a little bit more excited for it.
Yeah.
And I think gaming sometimes, and I've seen videos on it like with Square Enix where they're trying to make sure that this game can sell, and they're trying to make sure they keep, you know, public's opinion of even talking about it as long as they can, or else they feel like it's going to drop. And it is a scary thing for a game developer and a publisher really to like bet on something and think that it's going to sell like 10,000 copies.
Especially when it's a new IP too, like new IPs for big companies, publishers like that. It's risky.
But sometimes when you show your hand, like it can only really kind of go bad for you in some cases. And I think them showing parts of Forsaken, I think the last thing I saw was like how you interact, how you talk, and you kind of see some of the bugs, and you're like, are they going to improve the graphic from now till then? Like there's art style, and then there's like you're rarely underpowered to do what you're doing, especially if this is a PS5 game. I'm sorry, we're at the point where some consoles are doing just as good as some PCs right now. So it's kind of you could push a little bit. Right now, this kind of looks like it's a mess. Like it looks like you try to go artsy, but then you're like, oh, I also want to be realistic people. Like you're trying to do both, and you just didn't find the way that actually enhances either. So that's one of the things that I do kind of get worried about it when I kind of see that kind of stuff. But we're actually 5 minutes over.
Look at that.
That's like I want to say we talked to time, but it's like that's the plan, to have conversations till we are able to talk to time. But I think we can kind of end it there for tonight's episode.
Yeah, that's a good stopping point.
Yeah.
A preview for a conversation for the future.
Definitely. Well, like I said, I do want to have like a Square Enix conversation with you, because I think they're a publisher that has, for me, my favorite company and publisher that I wish I could work for them. To like, I don't know what they're trying to do over there anymore, and I wish they stop it, whatever they're trying to do. And I think they're trying to get to that point, but I think that is a different conversation that we can have.
Definitely.
But until then, everybody, thank you for watching today's episode. If you happen to watch this not live with us and you weren't able to make it with us, we do stream live every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I could probably do the math for you on everything else, but Google is your best friend when it comes to time zone. So go ahead and put it in there. But for now, if you did like what you saw and you wish to see more, don't forget to please either follow us on Twitch or subscribe and like us on YouTube. That way you can kind of get notified when we go live and when we actually post stuff throughout the week. If you like the conversation that you saw today, don't forget to drop a comment. Tell us what you think. Pretty much we want to pose a question for you. Do you have time for gaming today? And what are the creative things that you try to do to game? What are the things that you and your significant other maybe had to do in order to kind of make it work in the schedule? We will really want to know kind of what you've been up to this whole time, and we love to see those comments down below. Until then, my name is DuShaun Williams. This is my co-host Christopher Makata, and we will see you next time.